Stop with the questions. Celebrate.
And then they say, is Donald Trump an intellectual? Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
Yosemite's one of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water.
Mike Lindell's a conspiracy.
But you haven't.
Person, woman, man, camera, TV. They said nobody gets it in order. It's actually not that easy, but for me it was easy.
Amazing.
He can't sit down. He's got a burning in his butthole. He's got a fire. He's got a flame coming out of his butthole.
Big, massive dumps.
Oh, I have a term for that. I call it corporate communism.
Somebody sent me a thing this morning where they're talking about putting the vaccine into salad dressing.
You see, this is a simple meme that you would find on the internet, but this meme is very real.
You ain't seen nothing yet until you see the flaming butthole.
Putting us on our knees to China.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
Nancy Pelosi's gazpacho police.
Stupid.
The nation, Waldorf Nation. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. It's Monday. Yes, we've all got a case of the Mondays. Nonetheless, we're gonna have a fun show. We have the typical usual ghouls and goblins. Yes. Tommy Lahren, Marjorie Taylor Greene, CitiBike Karen. Oh, it's going to be fun. So we're going to have some fun on today's show, showing horrible people. Josh Hawley thinks there's a problem. Thinks the left has a problem with masculinity. Men aren't men anymore. No, that's right. They're not men.
Beta male.
Really? From Josh Hawley-ass Hawley. Okay, well, great. Fun. We're going to have that. And then we have a Missouri high school I don't know how to tease it without giving too much away. They suspended the wrong person, and I'm going to tell you why. So, just wait for that story, because holy crap. All right. So, with that said, let's start out with James Comer's witch hunt. Continues once again. Okay. Before we do, please like and share the stream. Very important that you do so. Helps us out, as always. With that said, let's go to James Comer. What a Comer. This Lost sequel sucks. Let me just say that. You'll see what I mean. The sham investigation into President Joe Biden's alleged foreign business dealings has still failed to produce any evidence of criminal wrongdoing. And apparently that's not the only thing it has failed to produce. Informants and actual whistleblowers. Now, on Sunday, Fox News' Maria Bartiromo spoke with the House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer and asked him for a status report. Hey, where's the whistleblowers? Where's the informants? Where's the evidence? Because, we kind of can't, go on with these conspiracy theories without some sort of evidence to back us up. it'd be really nice to have.
Just forget about the evidence.
But Fox News can't say that now because, they'd gotten in trouble. The whole $787.5 million worth of trouble, saying things that aren't true and are not backed up by factual information. Now, of course, it's a little different because President Biden's a public figure. Nonetheless, I'm going to go to Comer and his update, which apparently is filled with nothing.
Well, unfortunately, we can't track down the informant. We're hopeful that the informant is still there. The whistleblower knows the informant. The whistleblower is very credible.
Hold on a second, Congressman. Did you just say that the whistleblower or the informant is now missing?
Well, we're hopeful that we can find the informant. Now, remember, these informants are kind of in the spy business. So they don't make a habit of being seen a lot or being high profile or anything like that.
Are there whistleblowers or informants missing right now?
Well, with what we've investigated and the people that we've tracked down, going back to the CEFC, the two main players in that business, as well as all the Americans that were involved in the different Biden influence peddling schemes, as well as the Serbian national. The 9 of the 10 people that we've identified that have very good knowledge with respect to the Bidens, they're one of 3 things, Maria. They're either currently in court, they're currently in jail, or they're currently missing.
Oh, they're missing?
Oh no!
Wow, all of well, except for one of them, apparently. One of them missing. I like how it's the Serbian. We got a Serbian national, because it sounds titillating. It sounds like a spy thriller. It's all just like spycraft. You know what I'm saying? It's like a spy game. It's like 007. No, it's not. maybe if it would, maybe it'd be 007 if, I don't know. If 007 was a moron or something. I have no idea. I have no idea. Where could they be? Where could our missing informants be? I mean, I know the answer. Ooh, pick me. They're either not real, which I think is the most, likely outcome here, or if they do exist, that they're not interested in coming out because they don't actually have any evidence in criminality. Because again, this whole thing is trying to prove, it's the criminality because Joe Biden went to these different countries and then these countries got foreign aid, and so somehow it was a quid pro quo with other countries to give them foreign aid. It's literally what Donald Trump had actually tried to do. Except that he had tried to get an investigation into the Bidens and the promise of foreign aid. And we already know that because they had the phone call between Trump and Zelensky. And so now the right wing's like, oh, that's a good one. We're just going to take that and we're going to apply it to Joe Biden. So now look, for the right wing, this is perfect conspiracy bait. You know what I'm saying? Oh, all the informants that we had that were going to get Joe Biden. It turns out they're all missing. What happened to them? What happened? Well, I don't know if they're missing. I don't know if they're real. But on Monday, Marjorie Greene, the following day after this interview on Fox News, Marjorie Greene then goes on Steve Bannon's War Room podcast to give the other MAGA chuds a little sliver of hopium.
We have not lost the submarine, Joe. Actually, that whistleblower is very safe. But he does fear for his life, and rightfully so. This is a very serious situation. It's not a game. Everything we're talking about involves a lot of money in the most powerful position in the world, the presidency of the United States. And I want to be very clear with everyone watching again today. Our whistleblower that brought us evidence that leads directly to Joe Biden, that Joe Biden took a payment from a foreign national in exchange for foreign policy favors, that whistleblower is not lost and they are safe, but they do fear for their lives. That whistleblower came through us, thankfully, through the help of Senator Grassley. So that is a fact. That is the truth. But other whistleblowers, yes, they are missing. They're either in court, they're in jail, or we cannot talk with them at this time because they can't be found.
They're either in court, they're in jail, or maybe they're on the moon. Maybe they're on Mars. We have to go after them. We have to send, I was going to say we have to send a specific actor to Mars, but now I can't think of his name. So way to go, Marjorie Greene, throwing my train off track. You know, my mental train here, my train of thought with her stupid. Now, she also said, our investigation is so important, Steve, that this will bring down the president of the United States. But now, I mean, with all this, that's so very important, we lost all the whistleblowers. This thing that could take down the president of the United States, we lost them, except for one, and they're in fear of their lives, if they actually exist. Come on. No, you know what this means. We all know what this is. They're going to say that we know where this informant is, but they have to stay secret, at least until after the election. But in order to do that, in order for us to continue our investigation and to nail Joe Biden and to take him down, well, you can't let the Democrats get control of the House in 2024. Because we're going to take down Joe Biden with this investigation conveniently around the election. Come on. We know what this is, okay? If you haven't gotten it by now, this is the Mueller investigation, but for Republicans. That's it. I mean, what they're doing is that they're pinning all their hopes on James Comer and his alleged whistleblowers and the Hunter Biden laptop. All to take down Joe Biden. We're going to take him down. No, you're not taking anybody down. This is just political theater. This is to distract their voters from the fact that politicians in office, the Republicans, do not want to fix real issues. They want to distract people. They want to, distract people while they're doing the debt ceiling stuff in order to try to get budget cuts that hurt poor people, working class people. And then, by the way, blame that suffering that they plan to inflict on people on what?
The wokers.
That's what it is. And by the way, it's not just Republicans that play this game. There are establishment Democrats that play the political theater game as well. And look, there's a lot of establishment corporate, backed Democrats that use this kind of politicking in order to avoid having to pass policies that their corporate donors don't approve of. And so, let's be honest, this is a symptom of the corruption in our political system due to money in politics. I mean, Republicans, they scream and, oh, corruption, there's corruption everywhere. But yet you fail to look at the biggest source of corruption in our political system, which is private donations to politicians. That's it. Independent expenditures to politicians. Money in politics. The number one corrupting influence in our political system, and every Republican ignores it. And Democrats generally at this point play lip service to it. Oh no, yeah, we're definitely aware. We get rid of Citizens United, except that we're not actually doing it. So yes, they fail to fix the corruption that they whine about. Exactly. That's why nothing's going to come from this stupid investigation into Biden, because at the end of the day, look, nobody who's in power is ever held accountable, because it's not about holding people accountable. It's not about accountability. It's all about just politics, trying to maintain their power, trying to stir up their base. That's all this is. It's a lie. There's no informant. Yeah, I can't say that definitively, but I'm pretty sure that I personally do not believe that there's an informant at all. I'm surprised that none of them is like the same hitmen, the Hillary hitmen that took out Seth Rich. They're the same ones that went after these informants. I mean, look, Tucker Carlson's gonna have a new Twitter web show. Oh boy. I wouldn't be surprised to see that conspiracy show up there. Yeah, you know it. Okay. So let's go to Tomi Lahren. Wow, making a surprise appearance on today's show. It's been a while. Tomi. Where have you been? Where have you been? Okay. During a discussion on her Sunday show, Tomi Lahren claimed that, white supremacist violence is, it's just something that the left is just kind of, amplifying, making up. It's not really that big of a thing, not really that big of a deal. Which got a slight bit of pushback from a co-host. Let's take a look at that segment.
Tommy, I agree with one thing, which is the body count for lone wolf terrorists in this country is higher right now than it's been a long time, and I am for anything to help with that and to have those discussions. But that is severed from our border security, and we have known terrorists as early as today being apprehended at the border from Afghanistan to try and gloss over what's happening at the border under the guise of we've had tragedies happen under lone wolf terrorists and then label it all white supremacy. That's a scapegoat.
Yeah, well, this is what they have been doing and doing effectively, especially in the midterms that we just saw. Biden, his entire administration, Democrats as a whole, have been able to use this ultra mega white supremacist threats to democracy. They've been able to use this. It is no coincidence. They echo this every time they get a chance because they want those independent, those Democrat, and especially those liberal voters to actually believe the biggest threat we face is white supremacy because they can't really solve that. Right? You can solve the border crisis. That's solvable. Donald Trump did it. You can solve national security to an extent. You can't solve this boogeyman called white supremacy, and that's why they continue to echo it, because they don't actually have to do anything. They just get to fire people up and make people feel like oppressors and victims, and it's a talking point that, unfortunately, has been very effective, so they're going to keep using it.
Ooh, boy, there's so much projection there. Okay, so basically, Tomi Lahren, white supremacist violence is not really a thing. You know what I'm saying? It's not really, it's not that bad. It's just a political talking point. That's all it is. And by the way, even though it's not really a thing, you can't really solve it either. But you can solve the border. Donald Trump's already solved the border. Wait a minute. If Donald Trump already solved the border problem, then why are we having a border problem? In their minds, right? I mean, what? Okay, but no, okay. So here's the thing. White supremacist violence is real. I know it's a very real thing. It actually does exist, Tommy. According to the FBI, radicals, driven by a belief in the superiority of the white race, continue to pose a primary threat among domestic violent extremists of committing lethal violence against civilians based on their ideology and attack history. Since 2010, white supremacists have carried out at least 17 lethal attacks, killing no fewer than 77 people, accounting for more than half of all fatalities from domestic terrorism. Now, that was a quote from the FBI's 2022 annual risk assessment. So, white supremacists, they're kind of a big issue here. Now, the same assessment, and because I'm going to be accused of, but what about Antifa lefty violence? Left-wing violence poses a smaller threat and is likely consists of non-lethal criminal activity, according to that same report, which states that far-left extremists, unlike their far-right opponents, are not organized at the countrywide level. Such radicals, the report says, will probably remain focused on people or institutions seen as representing authority, capitalism, and oppression, including perceived racism or fascism. So, there's that. Okay, that's what the FBI says. But what about the border? What about the border? Donald Trump, he solved the border. No, he didn't. Now, apparently, that is, that is, it goes counter to what Tomi Lahren actually claimed back in 2019. So now here's a tweet from Tomi. Notice the date here. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Donald Trump takes his sham border deal from Democrats. He loses in 2020. We all lose for years to come. Wait, I thought Donald Trump fixed the border. Weird. Huh. Now, funny enough, by the way, MAGA chuds dumped on her during that, claiming, oh, you don't understand. He's building the wall as we speak. The wall has been built. No, the wall has not been built. There was no border wall. It was never built. Not true at all. But getting back to the idea of white supremacy, right? And, you know, it not being an issue, and we can't really solve it. Well, Joey Jones is going to respond just very quickly with this.
White supremacy is not a good thing. I am all for attacking it where it exists.
No, white supremacy, not a good thing. Let's attack it where it exists. And it does exist. Great. That's all you need to say. That's all. That's all. Yes, we should go after white supremacy. Wow. Very difficult. But instead of doing that, Tommy's answer was, it doesn't really exist. And it's just being used as a political thing because, the border, and then they want independence. And, the biggest threat that we face is white supremacy. Actually, it is the biggest domestic threat that we face when it comes to terrorism, Tommy. It's just true. Look, this shouldn't be a controversial take. But are we at all surprised that Tomi Lahren is going to take the side of white supremacists by downplaying the actual threat that they represent? No. Not at all.
The Republican Party's racist.
Okay. I'll always remember that wall segment that got blown down by a gentle breeze. True. Okay. The gentlest of breezes. The most gentle breezes. White supremacy is actively killing people and children. Drag shows and books are not. True. Okay. Let's move on to, we got the racisms going on. Oh boy. A white woman is being accused of weaponizing her tears against a black teen. Not black teen, sorry. Start that again. A white woman is being accused of weaponizing white tears against a black man after she attempted to take a CitiBike away from a young black man who had already reserved and paid for it. So apparently, CitiBike, you can rent these bikes in New York City, and you can reserve them. You have an account with them and all that. So it's actually kind of neat. But nonetheless, a video posted on Saturday shows an employee of Bellevue Hospital claiming that an unidentified black man is threatening her because he wouldn't let her take a bike that he had already reserved.
Help! Help me! Please help me!
It's not your bike.
Please help me!
It's not your bike. It's not your bike.
Please help me! Help! Please get off me!
Hey, what the fuck? What's going on, bro?
Please get off.
Yo, don't not take it, bro. Now you're not getting the bike, bro.
Help!
You're not getting
Get
the
off
break.
me,
I'm
dude.
not.
Why you took his phone?
Stupid.
What's wrong with you?
Stupid as fuck. You're not
Don't touch
touching
his
my
phone.
phone.
Do not touch his phone.
I'm not touching you. You putting your stomach on my hand.
No, dude, stop. No, dude, stop. No. I said no. I said sit down.
Please.
She's just crying.
You're not crying. I got you on video. Wait, you pulled it out? Hey, Hassan, you pulled it out? Hassan, you pulled it out?
This is my bike. It's on my account. Please move.
All right, so why don't we reset the bike?
I'm not resetting the bike.
It's his.
Reset it. I'm gonna pull it out on your account.
You are active.
I don't give a fuck.
Stop fake crying. She's fake crying. Stop fake crying.
Hey, stop touching me. I want to touch you.
Hold up.
Hey, stop touching me. Stop touching me.
Why don't you take this bike?
Stop touching me.
I will.
Exactly. So take
Fuck out of here.
it. So take it.
You're stupid ass. Fuck out of here. Dumbass. Your baby gonna come out with
Wait, how you stop crying? Not a tear came down, miss. Not a tear came down.
Not a tear came down. Wow. You're hurting my fetus. By doing what exactly? So I don't know. It seems like you're putting a lot more stress on your fetus than anyone else by trying to steal a bike from somebody. Wow. No, again, he wasn't doing anything to her. He wasn't attacking her. It wasn't a threat. And nonetheless, she decides to go and do fake crying after yelling and bringing people in. And that guy's like, well, why don't you just reset it? Well, no, first of all, that's not how it works. And why should he have to reset something that he had already reserved ahead of time and paid for? By all rights, at that time, that was his bike. She had no reason to try to take it from him. And by the way, getting to the fake crying, that mysteriously cleared up as soon as she got another bike. Real interesting. She could have gotten on a different bike and there wouldn't have been any problem. But it looks to me like this lady wanted a literal free ride and would weaponize and weaponized her tears in order to try to get her way and didn't. Why is it that there are people out there that feel entitled like this? I mean, seriously. First, again, to try to take something that she didn't pay for and to make it look like she was a victim. And I think I know the answer is because generally people like that tend to get away with it. And the reason, again, he didn't want to give it up or change it is because, again, he had already made those reservations. And if he just let her have it, again, he paid for it and it's tied to his account. So if it came up missing, he would be on the hook for it. He would have to pay for it. So, of course, he didn't want to let it go. So, I mean, this is just a ridiculous story of just Karen privilege. And she's supposed to be a healthcare worker. She's somebody who's supposed to be there to help people. Makes you wonder how exactly she might treat patients who are black. It's not as if there isn't a history of black people being mistreated by medical professionals due to their stereotypes. And she weaponizing white tears in order to get black men in trouble has a long, horrible history. Now, members of social media chimed in. One person says, racism at its finest. She fully understands that white women generally have the privilege of being perceived as innocent, which is why she attempted to use her tears as a weapon against this young black man. Another person says, and of course she works in healthcare, probably treating black patients like crap. She needs to be fired and should be embarrassed to be a sick, evil, racist piece of crap. Another commented. Another person said, lock her up. She needs to be locked up. She is deplorable. What she did is an act of violence, and she should suffer consequences. Like, this really pissed me off because we get killed over crap like this, another person wrote. So look, the anger here is just absolutely justified. Yeah. I mean, people taking what's not theirs and then trying to play the victim. Having people, by the way, who after she yelled, oh, help, 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 who ran up? bunch of white guys looking to, oh, hey, are these thugs bothering you? Especially the people that have, by the way, her coworkers that had run up to help her. So now look, she might end up getting some consequences from this. At least, professional consequences. Because I'm going to show you a tweet here from NYC Health Plus Hospitals / Bellevue, which was sent on Sunday, May 14th. Here's what it said. We have recently become aware of an incident that occurred off campus over the weekend. It appears to involve one of our employees. We are sorry this happened and we're reviewing the incident. NYC Health Plus Hospitals Bellevue is committed to providing the highest quality of care to all New Yorkers with dignity, cultural sensitivity, and compassion. Now, she's also been identified, at least by internet sleuths, which are very good at finding out these people. Apparently, she deleted all of her different socials after this video came out, after this started to get some attention. And so here we go. This is another... This really reminds me of like the Central Park Karen stories, where again, oh, you're attacking me. No. She's doing the aggressiveness. She's trying to take something that does not belong to her and possibly getting a black man or a group of black men in trouble. And it's not like there isn't history there in New York City as well. And by the way, you also have to look at, for example, Emmett Till. I mean, there's a white woman that lied about him and he was lynched, murdered. So it is a really serious issue. It's not just like, oh, this woman just wanted to get something that she wants. No, I'm pretty sure everyone should at least realize what happens when someone does something like this. The potential things that could happen to a black man. And by the way, not only that, but everybody should know the story of, when you cry wolf, right? At some point, something serious will happen to, a white woman, right? And nobody's going to believe it because there are some people out there that do these things. And so, I mean, it's a really dangerous thing to do for everyone involved. And I really wish people would stop trying to use that sort of privilege to get stuff for free. Anybody doing this right now, though, I tend to believe that they know exactly what they're doing. And that's what makes it even more dangerous and potentially tragic. Okay. There you go. Let's go to, apparently, Josh Hawley, hates men. Kind of weird. Kind of a weird thing, but, okay. Hold on. Senator Josh Hawley claims the left hates men and masculinity, and then goes on to indirectly trash men.
I feel like men are under constant attack by the left, the Democrat Party, and the media. Am I wrong about that?
No, you're not wrong. I think the ideology of the left now, Mark, and for decades now, has been that there's something inherently wrong with masculinity. And so they want to educate our kids out of it. Listen, I got two little boys at home. They're 10 and 8 now, and I write about them in the book. And you look at what our kids are taught in schools. I mean, from the time they go to preschool, for heaven's sake, they're taught that, oh, if they're a boy, if they want to be aggressive, if they want to talk about guns, oh, that's bad. They need to be medicated. They need to be quieted down. When they get a little older, they're taught that manhood is inherently dangerous, that it contributes to climate change, that they need to renounce their masculinity. And you see this ideology, it suffuses, permeates our media, our culture, all driven by the left. And then we wonder, why is it that more and more men are not pursuing education, more and more men are not pursuing work. We've got to tell the truth, which is that we need strong men in this country. We need them to go out there and work. We need them to start a family. We need them to provide. And if you want to change America for the better, get men to be strong again, to take on their responsibilities and to be leaders.
So wait. So your argument is, well, men, they need to be strong, you see. And the left hates men. And now I'm going to tell you about how lazy men are, and how unmanly they are, and how they're terrible and not providers, and how they're doing all these things wrong. And apparently how they're so mentally weak that the left can indoctrinate them. And wait, you're claiming to be a speaker for men? No, okay. So let's go through this bit by bit, all right? So his premise is, well, the left thinks something is inherently wrong with masculinity. No, we don't. No, masculinity is totally fine, totally based. Nothing wrong with men. Now, we do have a problem with what Josh Hawley is selling. That ain't masculinity, it's insecurity. That's why the label toxic gets applied to that type of masculinity, because it isn't masculinity, it's insecurity, it's weakness. Masculinity is not aggressiveness, okay? Oh, see, if you're a boy and you want to be aggressive and you want to talk about guns, that's bad. Wait, there's nothing masculine about being aggressive. What do you mean by aggressive? What you want kids to bully other people? Is that it? That's not manly at all. It's also not tied to guns either. Masculinity is not tied to having weapons. In fact, if anything, if you're outside the house and you're strapping yourself with an AR-15 to go to Walmart because you think you got to protect yourself from the hordes of thugs and criminals, well, that's not strong. That's actually incredibly weak. That projects weakness. Why is this guy armed to the gills? If you're, while he's in like the bakery aisle, like, what's wrong with you? What do you think's gonna happen? No, it shows that either you're scared of everything, or there's the other thing, which is, again, not very strong, not very masculine. You're a bully. You're a bully who uses your weapons to get respect from people that you wouldn't normally get. And by respect, I don't actually mean respect, I mean fear. You want people to fear you because they don't actually respect you. Again, either way, it does not seem very manly at all. Look, nobody's being taught to renounce masculinity. It's actually quite the opposite. We're really teaching people to embrace what it means to be an emotionally balanced man. Being open. Being able to be who you are, right? Being able to feel emotions if you have to. When you have to. And to have appropriate responses to things. But there's a stereotype that is held by people who are traditional, old school, whatever, is that, oh, yeah, men don't actually show any emotions. Yeah, we have to be completely stoic and not show anything. Men don't cry. You gotta sack up. Man up. The only emotion that you're allowed to show is anger and horny. No. Look, it's also, by the way, it's okay to be angry. Nobody's saying that it's not okay to be angry, but you have to have a positive outlet for that. And it's not punching holes in your wall or yelling at your wife and kids. No, there are good positive outlets for anger. Go and exercise. Do a hobby. By the way, you can go out and shoot guns. There's nothing wrong with target shooting. It's fun. Nothing wrong with that. And oh my God, it involves guns. Now, he also said, we wonder why is it that more and more men are not pursuing education. Oh, see, there's men, they're not going to college, you see. Why? Why is that? It's because you keep calling it woke.
The wokers.
I mean, you're calling education woke, and then you're saying that it victimizes men. Why? By learning about the contributions of women that are real? Come on. And let's be honest. I know Josh Hawley, he's not talking about all men in general. He's talking about white men. right-wing white men. That's it. Now, the point about work, by the way, is related to education. Okay. You have, of course, men that are not able to go to school, not able to get an education because we have a system where you can't afford an education. And by the way, you know, even with an education, it can be very difficult to actually get those higher paying jobs. And then you're loaded with student loan debt. So you haven't really gotten anything. And so that overall point is the intersection between, of course, how, you know, young men in society have been fucked over by capitalism. In both education, not being able to afford a good education or being stuck with a mountain of debt, and also not having those jobs that actually pay a living wage. The economic macro forces in this country are not good for average workers, especially young men. Look, corporations have shipped jobs overseas to exploit low-wage labor in some of these more traditionally what were considered masculine trades going overseas. Again, you also combine that with some of those stereotypes of, oh man, oh, you're supposed to be the sole provider. Yes. That hasn't been true since like the 50s, when jobs paid relative to inflation enough for a person on one income to buy a house, have a retirement, and all the stuff that people my age will never get to see. Why? Because wages haven't kept up with productivity, haven't kept up with the cost of living. Now in these days, you have to have at least 2 incomes to survive. And even then, sometimes you still can't. Now, look, what are people like Josh Hawley doing about this? He sets out all the problems, right? Oh, look at all these problems with men not being men, and it's all the left, and it's all the woke indoctrination and the feminisms. Okay, what are you going to do? What is Josh Hawley going to do to help the economic conditions that are, you know, stopping men from getting good jobs, stopping men from being able to be providers in his case? Nothing. They're not helping families by raising wages. They're not expanding healthcare. They're not expanding mental health care. And another part of that segment, he talks about the high rate of suicides when it comes to young men. And you also have, of course, other issues, diseases of despair, higher addiction rates, things like that. Expanding healthcare, expanding mental health care, but generally making it so that, I don't know, workers are not crushed by the system, that it can actually make a living wage. Josh Hawley not doing any of that. In fact, Josh Hawley is against all of those good things. They're not doing anything to help men in this country. They're instead feeding men who are understandably economically insecure. They're feeding them full of bullshit, weird talking points about how it's not actually capitalism, it's not actually economics that are the problem. No, it's woke. It's the wokers.
The wokers.
That's the whole problem. It's the woke and the feminisms and probably black people as well. That's what's ruining life. That's what's making it bad. Also, probably the border. Yes, something, it's the border. And the solution for them is, if only we can get the women's back under control so the men can be up on top. Oh, yes. But that's not strong either. That's not strong. Having to go and use society to repress women so that men could feel like they're superior again? No, that's not healthy. It's not a healthy relationship. It's everything that they're espousing is toxic. No, in reality, look, nowadays, anybody who's ever been in a really happy, successful marriage, myself, for example, we know it's a partnership. We know that you're supposed to support each other in all ways. And that's it. Now, finally, the one thing that I found dumb, probably the dumbest part about this, and what was just gratuitously thrown into this, I believe, is the comments about climate change. Wait, masculinity is, the left is blaming masculinity for climate change? What? What an absurd notion. It's got nothing to do with climate change. Masculinity and climate change are not related. But unfortunately, there's a lot of right-wingers who do believe that they do have something to do with this. Now, back in 2016, there was a business professor and his research team did a little study. It's a very, very small study, and I'm assuming that that's where this talking point comes from. It found that the concepts of greenness and femininity are cognitively linked, according to the abstract in the Journal of Consumer Research. Now, let's see. Stereotypical feminine behavior and attitudes are more in parallel with taking care of the environment, according to University of Notre Dame business professor James Wilkie, talking in an interview with the Washington Post. Male traits tend to conflict with this idea of maintaining a nice environment for other people. Weird. According to the Post, one survey of 127 students showed that the vast majority of both men and women perceived green products as feminine. In another survey, the vast majority of the 194 students identified a shopper with a reusable shopping bag as more eco-friendly and feminine, whilst identifying a shopper with a regular plastic bag as more wasteful and masculine. How is being more wasteful masculine? It doesn't make any sense at all to me. They live in a completely different world. It's topsy-turvy. Now, the thing about this is that this is a really small sample size. So to me, it feels like it's statistically irrelevant. But apparently, this study, and maybe some others that went along with similar results, were enough to convince the right wing that, if you care about the environment, then you're not a man. You should renounce your manhood. You just need to give up testicles. You just give them up. Give them up. Surrender your tallywhacker. Okay? Nope. Get rid of it. You're not a man anymore. Apparently, not wanting to live in a filthy, polluted climate, change, disaster, post-apocalyptic, whatever, hellscape, not wanting to live into that situation is the same as cutting off your dick. I don't understand it. Like it's like carrying around a reusable bag, which, by the way, I shop at Aldi's. That's what they do. Everybody brings in a reusable bag. Totally fine. I'm pretty sure my dick hasn't fallen off yet. Still there, still firmly attached. I don't quite understand how being a good steward of the environment and the world, and by the way, making sure your kids and other people's kids have a livable planet is unmanly. I don't understand that. But again, these people, they don't make sense. They don't have to make sense. Logic does not apply anymore. Okay. Someone said words on the internet and his dick fell off. Yes, thank you. You get the meme. Then all Delaware shoppers would be perceived as feminine. Apparently, according to some of these people and Josh Hawley and all these weirdos who are so obsessed with manliness that, I don't know, they are just do not appear to be manly at all. Oh, it's an attack on men. It's an attack on men. We're under attack. Okay. I think we need to acknowledge that many people, that there are many people who think the end is near, so they don't really care if climate change exists. No, yeah, that is exactly a really good point that I wanted to bring up as well. But I don't know if it really matters so much in this context, but you're right. Absolutely. There are definitely people out there that are like, Jesus is going to come back and hoover us up into heaven anytime now, so we don't really care. Drill, baby, drill. Weirdos. And that's why shouldn't have those kinds of people running the government. And unfortunately, they do. A lot of them do. Yikes. Okay. Move on. One more story. I just love how, one last thing. I just love how apparently being wasteful is manly. You mean being lazy? Because that's generally what wasteful is. Generally, you're too lazy to pick up after yourself. Somehow that's considered manly. God, it's so ridiculous. Okay. A student at Glendale High School in Springfield, Missouri, had recently recorded a teacher doing a racism. Apparently, this teacher was saying different racial slurs in class. And after that came out, according to the Springfield News Leader, the school quickly took action and suspended the student. Wait, what? Yeah. Mary Walton, a sophomore, was suspended for 3 days out of school and would not be allowed to return to campus until Wednesday, according to the report. And according to the student handbook, this was the maximum penalty available for a first-time offense involving the inappropriate use of electronic devices at the high school level. So this student, she records a teacher saying racial slurs over and over again, and she gets in trouble for recording. Wow. How dare you record a teacher? Wait, what if you have a really good reason? According to Walton, the teacher used a racial slur 6 times in total after butting into a student conversation and demanding to know, quote, "Why are you allowed to say it and I am not?" Wait. What's going on here? Why are you allowed to say it? Okay. So, my guess, black student says the word. White teacher gets mad. Why can't I say it? Why can't I say it? Why do you want to say it so badly? I always get like dumbfounded by the people, like super confused, that get mad because like, oh, why can't I say the N-word? I want to say the N-word. It's like Tim Pool going on Chat GPT to try to get it to say a racial slur. Why do you want this? Why do you want to keep saying that word? Why? You're obsessed with this word. You just want to say it so badly because you want to call them that. That's it. Now, 2 of the uses of the slur were caught on Walton's video, and after the teacher noticed he was being recorded, he demanded that Walton put away her phone because somebody was embarrassed. Walton said that she recorded this because she wanted proof that he had said it so he could give it to she could give it to the office and hold this teacher accountable for what they said. Instead, she ended up getting punished. Shortly after the incident on Tuesday, the teacher was placed on paid administrative leave. So she gets a vacation. I'm sorry, she does not get a vacation. She gets punished and he gets a vacation. You know, for being recorded saying racial slurs. Really? Is this what's going on? What a great system that we have. Now, in a message to Glendale employees and families, Principal Josh Groves wrote, "We are aware of a Glendale teacher using offensive derogatory language during class today. A video of the comments is being circulated and we've received several calls from concerned parents. I want you to know that the comments expressed in the video are inappropriate, inexcusable, and do not meet the professional standards for Springfield Public Schools employees. However, along with that, Walton learned that she was being suspended for taking the video itself. So the video was, oh, wow, the video shows very, very terrible conduct. But we're going to get right on that. We're going to take care of this. We're going to get this guy suspended with pay. Oh, and by the way, Student, you're also going to be suspended. Why? Why? Oh, I know why. She did the right thing. She said, quote, I was just confused because I don't know what I did wrong. I feel like if I didn't take the video, he probably would not have been held accountable like he is right now. So I don't know why I am being punished. She embarrassed the adults. Rule number 1. Don't embarrass the adults, apparently. The people in charge. Now look, if this is the kind of teacher that is openly saying slurs in class 6 times, this is not the first time. So how many other times did this happen? Probably a lot. And I'm assuming that this is to send a message to the student. How dare you, rock the boat? Don't you dare rock the boat. Don't do it. That's the message. And look, it's not like this hasn't ever happened before. In Wausau, Wisconsin, a high school band teacher was recorded, with a record of complaints for racist and homophobic behavior, was reinstated by the school board with all the complaints dismissed, leading to anger and argument at a recent school board meeting. So, at least in there, well, that behavior, totally fine. They're okay with that. We're going to reinstate this teacher. Now, again, I think the other reason she got in trouble is because maybe the other officials don't want to encourage students to video their teachers. We're going to send you a message again. Yeah, because this creates a headache for them. Or maybe you could, I don't know, take complaints seriously. That would be really, be the better thing. Take complaints seriously. This guy was doing a racism in class. He should be fired. Open racism. And she should never have gotten in trouble for doing the right thing. Now, some of you might be asked, well, is it okay for the students to use that language? No. No, it's not okay for the students to use that language as well. But in this case, we're not talking about the students that used that language. We're talking about a teacher who absolutely knew better as an adult to not use that language. To not butt into a personal conversation and demand to know why he can't use that language as well. No, it's completely and utterly unprofessional for this teacher to use this language. And so, I don't know if there's ever, if there is going to be any sort of action taken against this teacher. We'll just have to see. Okay. That's all I got. The person taking the video did not use the racial slurs. The person taking the video was catching people, was catching the teachers doing racial slurs. All right. So, let's see. Why don't we read some messages and super chats here? Okay, let's go to YouTube. Gabby Mathis, thank you for the 3 gifted memberships. Appreciate that. On YouTube. Jonathan Leiter says, Macho Hawley segment is worth my Taco Bell money. I'm
not worth your McDonald's money?
But it's not worth the McDonald's money. Thank you, by the way. I appreciate that. Koru, thank you for gifting a membership as well. And then says, Jesus is going to come back and hoover us up.
Stop with the questions. Celebrate.
Also,
get in a long tube with a bunch of demons.
That's the other thing you see. If you don't get hoovered up by Jesus, you get in a long tube with a bunch of demons. You see, and that's what happens.
It's the devil, okay?
It's the devil. It's the devil. Okay. Anyway, and there's that. Let's go over to our Twitch community real quickly and see if there are anything there. Okay. Let's see. I don't know if I read this, but Pendulous Dragon said margarine taco gristle.
I want to go to space.
That's actually the wrong one. I actually meant to...
Jewish space lasers.
There we go. Okay. Whew. We're pressing buttons here. Lots of buttons. Too many buttons. Hunger Games 1989. Also, thank you for resubbing for a month at Tier 1 for 16 months. Appreciate that. Okay. So. That's it. That's all I got for y'all. Thank you for going around the nation with me today. Please like and share the stream if you haven't already. Check out our clips, all that wonderful stuff. Like, subscribe. And I think I've pretty much covered the different ways that you can help the show. You can help the channel. You can become a patron as well. You can see down at that little crawling ticker there where to go to support us on Patreon. Of course, as always, we need your help to continue the show. So if you want to become a patron, that's probably the best way that you can do so. Okay. With that, let's do a surf raid and end the show. Thank you all. Have a great night, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. Remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation. We'll see you later.
Oh no!
Sexual anarchy.
Beta male.
Tighten up my knees. I like my knees tight. Testicles. Down back.
Just to let you about the people.
You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels